Hey, what's up, CS students? First off, please know that from our leadership team to you, we really miss you guys right now during this time. I hope this video finds you all doing well. Really excited about what this lesson series holds, the truths that are in the material that we'll be covering with you guys over the next few weeks about Jesus being at the center of the universe. Essentially, Jesus being at the core of everything of who we are. And man, how awesome would it be if the world would embrace that? How many issues would be eliminated if Jesus was really at his rightful place at the center of everything? And so we can't control all of that, but what we can control is our own individual lives. And so that's our encouragement and our challenge for all of us during this study series is let's evaluate our lives and do what's necessary to make sure that Jesus is at the center of it all. So at this time, let's head over to Chris for our lesson video.
Good evening, First Baptist Church Center Star Youth Group and any guests that are watching. My name's Chris and I'm honored to be with you this evening. Tonight's lesson is going to encourage us to let Jesus be the center of our life. I'd like for us to start by listening to part of the lyrics from a song by Jason Whitfield. And while you listen, reflect on where Jesus is in your own life.
From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. And nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. Jesus, Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Jesus, you. And from
Okay, I love those lyrics. Everything revolves around you, and the you there is obviously talking about Jesus. And he says nothing else matters. And how's that for us in our lives? Is it Jesus and nothing else matters? Or are there things that are pulling and tugging, wanting that place in our life where Jesus should be? I want to share an example with you about what it looks like, the center of the universe. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my dog named Duchess. I had a big German Shepherd, and his name was Curly, and about 4 or 5 years ago, he died. And within about a year, I wound up retiring from my job, and so I wound up taking Curly's place, kind of, and became Duchess's best friend. I'm in the center of her world now. She relies on me for everything. I feed her, I give her water, I bathe her, I trim her pen, I get her out of her pen. I give her what she needs, and I only give her what's good for her. If she disobeys, she knows immediately that I'm disappointed. The tone of my voice will change and she'll tuck her little tail. Her life is better and more comfortable when she obeys the commands that I give her. Being in her pen is unacceptable. That's too far away from me. She wants to lay near the gate that is closest to my back door. She loves getting on the screen porch. And even better than the screen porch is if she can get in the house, because that's the closest she is to me and she gets more attention from me in that place. Now I'll tell you a funny thing. If there's even a hint of a storm, she wants to be not close to me. She wants to be touching me. She wants to be in my lap. She wants me to wrap my arms around her and go, "It's okay. It's okay." Now, for you to think about where Jesus is in your life, and, with that example of a storm, would I be the center of my dog's life if the only time she wanted to be with me was when there was a storm? And Duchess will lay down and she'll stay as long as I'll rub her little tummy. She will stay. Her tail is still. She's in a restful place when I'm beside her. And if I say something, if she hears my voice go like, Duchess is a good girl, she'll wag that little tail in happiness. Now, in thinking about what I just told you about my dog, and we looked at the table, what would the table have looked like about Jesus being in the center? You saw the cross and the praying hands and a couple of other things that showed Jesus being in the center of that table. And then there are things like sports, there are things like things we wear, a vehicle, it might be a boyfriend or a girlfriend. What would it be like if we slide Jesus over to the side and we put something else in the middle of that table? Well, obviously that's what we want to talk about tonight, because we want to keep Jesus in the center of our life. So we're going to share tonight how Jesus deserves to be in the center of our life. And we're going to see that involves humility. It involves surrender of self. You cannot be selfish and have Jesus at the center of your life. We're going to move to some information from there about Jesus being the center, that you will thrive by identifying your God-given gifts and finding your purpose in life. Jesus will also speak to us about unity in the family of believers. And we can think of that in a way of our youth group, of unity in our youth group. And last of all, if Jesus is at the center of our life, we will have hope. We'll have a healthy way to face challenges in life. And everyone's already figured out by now that life can be hard. Life can be challenging. And it's so important right now, where you are at your age, that you put your foundation on Jesus, and that you make up your mind you're never going to turn on Jesus no matter what happens. There's a good example of that. Back in January, many of you will remember, this was before the virus had kind of taken over everything in this country. Toby Mac's son passed away unexpectedly at the age of 21. A couple of weeks later, Toby wrote a song about his son. It was called 21 Years. And in that song, he said, God, why did you give me a son if you were just going to take him away? And that showed that there are things in life that are hard. We're not going to always have our questions answered. We're not going to always understand everything. But we can determine in our life that we're going to live for Jesus, and we're going to keep Him in the center of our life. You will find interesting, now remember what I just told you was a couple of weeks after his death, like 2 days after his death, Toby and his wife came on Instagram and they said, hey, just in case any of you are wondering, Jesus is at the center of our life. We love God no matter what. He's a God of the hills and the valleys, meaning the good times and the hard times. So this evening, I want to leave you with a challenge. I also want to leave our youth group with a challenge. My 678 Warriors and I, we've been studying the book of Joshua on Sunday mornings. And we've just finished, actually, this past Sunday. And in the last chapter, chapter 24, Joshua has all the Israelites together, and he's challenging them to serve only God. And although as a well-respected leader, he knew he could not make them choose to serve God. He could only do his best to try to influence them. But in one of the most famous verses in the Old Testament, chapter 24, verse 15, Joshua said, as for me, I will serve the Lord. So he was saying, as for me, Jesus is going to be, God is going to be in the center of my life. My challenge to you is to dig into this study guide. I hope that you'll pray about the Holy Spirit revealing things to you that He wants you to see about Jesus being in the center of your life. I hope you'll pray for the leaders. I hope you'll pray for each other. spend some time in this study guide. It's not a study guide that you can finish in just a few minutes. It may be that over the next week that you're looking and working and praying and working through this study guide. But our prayer for you as leaders would be that individually you would say, as for me, I'll serve the Lord. I'll let Jesus be the center of my universe. And that we corporately as a youth group would say, as for us, we will serve the Lord. As for us, we want Jesus to be in the center of our youth group. We miss you guys. We love you. If you need anything, you or your family, contact us. I know this is just strange and difficult times. God bless your family, and we'll see you guys Sunday.
Well, let me just say thank you, Chris, man, for an awesome lesson and getting us engaged with this idea of Jesus being the center of the universe, essentially being the center of our life. And I love the illustration and the story with the dog because there's so many similarities there. You know, like what would it really look like in our life if we not only depended on Jesus during the storms, but we depended on him everything that we need every day, and that we actually wanted to be there with him, you know, constantly on a daily basis. I think it would look a whole lot different in our lives for sure than it does right now. And the reverencing with the idea of the things on the table. You know, how many times do we take something that's not necessarily bad, like sports or our family or hobbies, but how many times do we take those and put them at the center and make them bad, you know, where they take Jesus' rightful place in our life? So I hope during these next few weeks as we go through this study series that you guys can have a real good self-reflection on your life, you know. And again, we may not be able to change everybody else's perspective, much like Joshua, but you know, we can make a stance and say, for me and my house, for me and my life, Jesus is going to be at the center. So we look forward to engaging with you guys over the next few weeks during this time of looking at Jesus being the center of the universe. You guys get your study guides out. I want to encourage you to walk through that. Again, you don't have to do it all tonight. We'd really love to see you to do some of it tonight, and then over the next few days up until next Wednesday, really find moments to read over that study guide, look into those scriptures, and really write out some of the answers there to the questions in that study guide to help you really engage over this period of time. So until next week, hope you guys have a good one. Take care.